What is it that you are practicing on an ongoing basis that you are keeping active in your vibration? Because whatever it is, eventually becomes not only an active vibration, it becomes a dominant vibration on those subjects. And whatever is the dominant vibration within you, in other words, whatever you've practiced the most, is what becomes your point of attraction. And then it feels to you like somebody else must be doing this to you because you would not do it to yourself. And we say, nobody else can do it to you. You are doing every bit of it to yourself by practicing thoughts. So, we call this gathering for years the science of deliberate creation, because we wanted you to get the sense of practicing thoughts deliberately. We wanted you to get the sense of making a decision of how you want to feel and choosing thoughts that line up with that. Recently, we have begun calling this gathering the art of allowing, because we wanted to put emphasis upon using your guidance to allow the well-being that you've already been asking for. But both parts of it are important. You came into an environment of contrast because you wanted your personal preferences to be noted. But then you must reach the place where you decide that you will become a vibrational match to your own vibrational outpouring. And so, art of allowing it is. Art of allowing all of the things that you've been asking for to come easily into your experience, which in very simple terms means the art of finding thoughts that feel good about subjects that are important to me, in order to allow myself to be a vibrational match to those things I'm asking for. So if there is anything in your experience that you've been desiring that isn't showing up as quickly or as fully as you'd like it to, it is for one reason only. You're giving too much attention to what is and not enough attention to what you would like to be. Now, there are two ways around this. You can take that subject like a bull by the horns, and you can force yourself to think thoughts about it that feel good when you think about it. Or you can just choose some thought that you already feel good about. In other words, you do not have to wrestle to the ground the thoughts that don't feel good and turn them into better feeling thoughts. In fact, that's a really hard way to go. Instead, you can choose thoughts that already feel good, give more attention to those thoughts until your dominant vibration becomes one of well-being. In other words, you could have huge financial debt. You could have financial agencies beating on your door. You could have a telephone that you never answer because you're afraid of who might be there. You could have fear in your heart about your financial situation. And you could say today, I'm going to give as little attention to this as possible while I focus upon the new love of my life, or while I focus upon my new dog that I'm going to take to the park every day and have a nice run with, or while I get a new computer program and give it my undivided attention while I learn all of the positive aspects of it. And as you distract yourself from the vibrational trauma around finances, you will allow a release of that habit of vibration and put yourself in an environment where you will then allow Source to deliver to you what you've been asking for and what Source has been attempting to deliver all along. In other words, you just got to stop resisting in order to let the well-being in. Humans have a hard time with that because you do not understand sometimes who you are. You do not understand the blessed beings that you be. You do not understand the love that is offered to you constantly. You do not understand the perfection of your being. You've become self-critical and self-judging in your attempt to be better. But in doing so, you hold yourself so often in a vibrational disadvantage because you do not allow yourself to love yourself enough to let the well-being that you so much want and deserve in. And so we come forth, as do so many others, loving you completely, letting you know in as many ways we can the perfection of that which you are. But you hold stubbornly to your decisions that things should not go as well for you as you would like them to. And we are here to tell you, things should go as well for you as you would like them to. You should get what you want. You are leading-edge creators with the energy that creates worlds pouring through you, with a guidance system that is there to keep you connected to the energy that creates worlds. Life is supposed to go well for you. It is time for you to let the love that is shining to you through to you. So how do you go about that? How do you make something different in your vibration become active? You just have to practice it, that's all. How do you let financial abundance be the more dominant vibration within you? You just have to practice it. How do you let physical well-being be the most dominant vibration within you. You just have to practice it. You just have to find thoughts that feel good on subjects that are important to you and try to stay tuned to the subjects that feel good. And if the subject doesn't feel good, then change the subject. Get off of it. When you think about money, does money feel free and adventurous to you? Does it sort of give you that feeling of elation? Or when you think about money, does it feel more heavy, more worrisome? You can tell right away which way it is. It doesn't really matter because you can change it. But we want to say to you, whichever way it is only that way because you've practiced it that way more. When you think about your physical body, do you feel secure and stable and adventurous, or do you feel tentative and worried? Do you feel sort of unsteady and unsure? It doesn't matter which way it is because you can change it, but whichever way it is, you can feel. You can feel which way you lean, and we just want to say to you that you lean that way because you've practiced it that way, that's all. We're suggesting that you make a decision that you're going to start practicing thoughts that feel better. And we have an endless bag of tricks to offer to you to help you toward that end. There are so many different things that you can do that will all help you become more oriented to allowing the well-being that is natural to you. For example, you can make a decision that you're going to get on a rampage of appreciation, which means you're just going to look for things to appreciate everywhere you go. You're going to walk into a room, and instead of noticing what's wrong with it, you're going to notice what's right with it. And you're going to do it so deliberately that you may even want to sit for a minute and write some things down. So as you come into an environment like this, you might say something like, "Isn't it nice that someone has the wherewithal to put a hotel in a place like this that is convenient to so many? And isn't it nice that they are financially solvent enough that they can keep it open and keep it staffed? Isn't that a nice thing? Isn't it wonderful that somebody took the time to make it beautiful and to get electricity into it? And isn't it nice that there is some electrical company that keeps the electricity coming? Isn't it nice that there are roadways that bring us here? In other words, isn't it nice that the chairs are comfortable and steady and clean? Isn't it nice that we have this environment where nobody's beating on the door, nobody's demanding to know what we're talking about in here? Nobody is making you show credentials about whether you are allowed to be here or not. In other words, there are endless positive aspects that when you focus upon them, would make you connect to your source energy if you would take the time to do it. Now, you could notice the hole in the carpet, and you could notice that the bellman didn't come when he said he would, and you could notice that, in other words, it could go any way you decide to make it. But our point is, when you decide that this is a moment that you're actually labeling rampage of appreciation, this is a moment where I am literally looking for things to say, isn't that nice, isn't that nice, isn't that nice, isn't that nice? What I'm actually doing is using this moment in time to align myself with Source. And that is a very big thing, because Source already knows what you want. And when you take time to align with Source, you're taking time to open your valve to allow the flowing into your experience of all things that you consider to be good. Not just things about this room, not just things about the subject that you are appreciating, but all things that you desire are open for you to receive when you are using anything as your excuse to feel good. Rampage appreciation, powerful tool. If it was the only thing you ever knew, you could live happily ever after, fulfill every dream that you could ever conjure, be the brightest light in everyone you know's life, add more to this physical environment of anybody who's ever been here or ever will be here. In other words, you need not know one other thing other than to appreciate, and you would open to all things good. Because the universe has established everything else, the contrast is there to make you personally prefer. If you could just get in the habit of appreciating every chance you get, you would be in the place of allowing so much good to flow into your experience. People who watch you would be sure that you had been granted a path of well-being before you were even born. They would flock to you. They would say, "What is your secret? How do you do this? How is it that every time I hear you open your mouth and express even the slightest wish for something, the next time I see you, you're living it fully?" People would say, "How is it that you thrive financially? How is it that you thrive emotionally? How is it that the people in your life are loving? How is it that your relationships are remarkable? How is it that the physical accomplishments are so massive? How is it that one wee person lives so big, so fantastic a life?" That's what people will say to you if you will just get in the habit of being an appreciator, get in the habit of being the allower of the well-being that you so much want and deserve. So we've been offering a new game. We're calling it virtual reality, where for no good reason at all other than to feel good, which is the biggest reason of all, you just find some little snatch of something to think about it and make it as lovely as you can. Sort of like you're directing a movie. You say, what is the place I would most like to be for the next 30 or 60 seconds in my mind? Where would I like to be? And how would I like it to feel? And who else would I like it to be there? And the whole point of it is just to conjure a feeling of well-being. Now, this is not a better exercise than a rampage of appreciation. It's just a different exercise. It's not a better exercise than meditation, which is a quieting of mind and a releasing of resistance. It's just a different exercise. It's just another excuse in your bag of tricks to let this be a moment of allowing the well-being in rather than resisting it. It's sort of diversion from what's troubling you, because attention to what's troubling you holds you in that place where you don't let solutions in. Another game is, wouldn't it be nice if? Wouldn't it be nice if we would have wonderful weather for the drive that we're making today or tomorrow? Wouldn't it be nice if we got inspired about where to have lunch and discovered something really good and different to eat? Wouldn't it be nice if? Wouldn't it be nice if all of the dollars that I could ever spend would flow to me easily? Wouldn't it be nice if I could really get organized and utterly happy in my home environment? Wouldn't it be nice if? It's a wonderful game. But when you jump into the wouldn't it be nice if game, without having practiced or conjured deliberately, sometimes when you're deciding wouldn't it be nice if, you jump right into the yeah, it would be nice, but it's not really like that. So the wouldn't it be nice if game starts out nicely and turns into my life would be a lot better if you would do something different than what you are doing. So the game of virtual reality is to prepare you for the wouldn't it be nice if game. The game of virtual reality is the game where you get to choose everything. You get to choose everything, and so there's no reason to ever bring elements in that aren't nice when you bring them there. Many begin it and don't stay with it. But as you practice it for just a little while, what begins to happen is you begin to develop a vibrational propensity for thoughts that feel good, that then carry you through a lot of other games that you might play. You're going to reach the place by deliberately applying some of these exercises where things that have been bothering you don't bother you anymore because they're not so vibrationally active within you. And because they're not so vibrationally active within you, law of attraction is not going to match you up with them. You could have someone in your life who's very close to you, somebody that you see on a pretty regular basis, and the two of you could have developed some personality characteristics where you don't get on all that well. And as you begin, when you're not with them, deliberately choosing some other thoughts and holding them in your vibration, what will begin to happen is the universe will line you up with them differently, because no person, you included, is always the same. You have these vibrational currents that are flowing through you. And law of attraction always matches you with the vibrational current that is most dominant within you in any moment. So, to take this to a really powerful extreme, let's say that you all are moving through the streets immediately in the vicinity of this hotel. And out there, moving around there with you, are two in different vehicles, very agitated, very angry serial killers who just happen to be in this vicinity while you are all here. But because you are feeling good, you're on your rampages of appreciation, you meditated, you've been making your list of positive aspects, you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, you're doing virtual reality, you're feeling pretty darn good. And so you're out there moving around, and law of attraction would never put you in vibrational proximity of these with negative intent. It could not be.